For years, the suspiciously strange videos from an online personality have intrigued viewers, an uber nerd with high-functioning autism and symptoms of maladaptive daydreaming, affecting his ability to separate fiction from reality. Chris Chan. Remember this name because you'll hear a lot about his horrifying and downright disgusting story in this video. Who is Chris Chan? Christian Weston Chandler created his channel almost 10 years ago when he still identified as a male, before he started suffering from gender dysphoria and came out as a lesbian transgender in 2014. He would record himself doing outrageous things, walking around with a sign in his hand seeking a girlfriend, and reveal his sex life, or lack thereof, through his webcomic creation, Sonichu, a fusion between Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog. At one point, he cut his taint in a self-inflicted injury, which developed an infection. He recorded himself watching binaural beats YouTube video meant to hypnotize someone until their penis turns into a vagina. He believed that he was growing a vagina and posted a video of it on his Facebook, showing off his possibly infected taint gash. After finding success with Sonichu only because it was shared widely to be mocked, Chan decided to switch the narrative of his work to reflect his problems, feelings, and romantic life. In 2007, Chan was discovered as the creator of Sonichu and hence began a saga of extreme internet ridicule of both his autism and his work. But why? Because at that time, his real-life digital persona, which he called CWC Vil Guardian, was fueled by homophobia, misogyny, and manipulation. Chan decided to combat these trolls, but not in the right way. He decided to switch up his work once again and started posting pornographic images of himself with a real-life friend, Megan. But she was not the first or the last person to be derailed by Chris. The list of his victims went on and on. In fact, he didn't even spare his vulnerable 80-year-old mother suffering from dementia. His desperation to find a girlfriend went so far that he engaged in sexual activities with his own mother and later recalled the encounter with a stranger online. 1. Marilee Welsh. As a socially awkward preteen, Chris struggled with internet trolls and loneliness. He also often expressed his desire for a female companion. Although he did have a group of female friends, which he called gal pals, most of these friendships were parasocial and they only put up with Chan's abusive and homophobic nature because Chris's dad, Bob, would often pay them for it, realizing that his son would probably never strike a real cordial relationship with anyone. In 2003, Chris was a student at Piedmont, Virginia Community College in Charlottesville. This is when Chris began searching for a girlfriend, infamously dubbed as the Love Quest. Chris's first idea was to make attraction signs, which he would show around the campus, advertising himself as a 21-year-old white man looking for a 19 to 20-year-old cute girl. But this idea didn't live for long, as the Dean of Student Service, Marilee Walsh, confiscated it and tore it in front of Chris. However, Chris was adamant about getting himself a boyfriend-free girlfriend. He tried again. This time, though, he opted to hang Sonichu's news dash around the campus. However, this too was noticed by the dean, and she put a stop to it. This chain of events led Chris to harbor a deep resentment for her. To take revenge, Chris portrayed her in his drawings and illustrations as an evil mad witch. He not only degraded and demeaned her, but he also made sure that he said enough horrible things about her to make it a legacy. 2. Megan Schroeder. But this is just the beginning of all the horrific crimes committed by Chris Chan. He did much worse things to people who were never ever close to him. For instance, Megan Schroeder, probably the only person who was nice to him. However, she deeply regretted it later. In the summer of 2004, Chris came up with another bizarre and disturbing idea. This time, he tried his luck at the Charlottesville Fashion Square with an idea called the Red String of Fate. This included him throwing paper hearts at women attached to a string. As soon as a girl would pick up the heart, he would use the string to reel them in. However, thankfully, the mall security confiscated it after a bunch of complaints from women. But this was not enough to stop the girlfriend-hungry Chris. He continued soliciting girls, but was stopped by police officers, whom he derisively referred to as jerk-offs. Around this time, Chris met Megan Schroeder at the video game store called The Game Place. She used to live in his neighborhood and was probably the only person who was nice to him at that time. Why Megan even talked to Chris will remain a mystery, given that he would call black kids racial slurs and punch kids when he lost a Pokemon battle. A lot of people believe that Megan was not the innocent one either, and that she was trying to get Chris to buy her stuff. Nonetheless, they bonded over their shared interest in trading gaming cards and became friends. However, Chris, being Chris, desired more than just a friendship with her, even though she rejected his advances time and again. She said to Chris in an email, "Please, try to get rid of the lovey feelings for me and we can just be friends. So please don't touch me anymore, okay? I don't like it. And last Wednesday, you really had me pinned against the wall. Please give me more space." And this is not the only time she asked Chris to back away. She said multiple times in her emails that she doesn't like the way he touches her. Finally, in 2007, their friendship came to a halt when Chris did something that Megan would never get over. He drew pornographic pictures of him and Megan and gave them away to a website online. He would also constantly feature Megan in his comics without her consent. Although people initially thought that the girl in Chris's drawings were his imaginary twin sister, Crystal, Megan was quick to notice that it was her. She further explained Chris's caption, "Your sister came for me," targeting her brother John, who Chris thought was behind all the trolling he was getting online. Megan finally cut ties with him after 2008, but at what cost? She was heavily disappointed in Chris and said this incident was so heartbreaking and demeaning that it would probably haunt her forever. According to Chris, this was his way of letting out his urges in a healthy way, that if he didn't get his way with Megan, he didn't know what he would have done. Chris made it sound like he was a fierce person who had no control over his actions. He wrote to Megan, "I do not regret drawing the drawing, because if I hadn't released my frustrations in the creative sense, I may actually have done something really dumb and stupid." It almost implied that if he didn't get his way with Megan, he would have raped her, and it became evident in the later years that he was capable of doing something like this, after he revealed details of how he started fingering his own mom. 3. Michael Snyder. But before we go on to tell you about the horrific details of his encounters with his mom, Barbara Chandler, let's talk about his other victim, Michael Snyder, the owner of the same video game shop where he met Megan. In 2008, Mike Snyder permanently banned him from the place for causing trouble, misbehaving with the staff, and calling black kids racial slurs. Employees even called his father Bob Chandler and complained about his behavior at the game place. Chris was also extremely racist towards Snyder because of his last name. He thought that Mike was Jewish and abused Jewish people in his video for this reason. Due to his misguided belief, Chris developed a burning hatred for Mike Snyder. He called him a bastard and a child moron, among other horrible things. Chris's hatred for Mike went deeper than any of you could ever imagine. He said, "I also hope that the game and hobby place in Charlottesville burns to the ground, along with Michael Snyder." In 2010, Chris had a run-in with Mike Snyder. This might be one of the most terrifying incidents ever, a clear red flag that authorities failed to realize at that time. Chris stopped at the place to take pictures of Snyder. He planned to later throw darts at it to take out his anger. However, Mike's daughter was also with him that day. Mike believed that Chris was taking naked pictures of his daughter, and this was very much a possibility given his behavior at the place and how he used to beat other kids up for making him lose at a game. Worried that Chris was creeping near the place to take pictures of his family, Snyder confronted him and asked him to delete the pictures. But as Snyder approached him, Chris went maniac mood, got inside his car, and attempted to flee. It almost felt like he didn't want to show what was in his camera roll. When Snyder blocked his escape, he tried to run him over with his car. At that moment, Michael appeared on YouTube and commented, "Christian is in my parking lot right now being grilled by the police. He took pictures of my daughter and tried to run me over with his car. They witnessed this, and I bet they still do nothing about it." The police got there on time and heard both sides of the story, but for whatever reason, Chris got out of it without any jail time. After this incident, Chris forged fanciful stories online where he told people how Snyder threatened to kill him, jumped on top of his car and assaulted him, but the reality seemed different. Chris himself, on many occasions, expressed how he would love to shoot Snyder if he could get a gun. He even called Snyder a child molester and said, "I pray that someone else will plant a bomb in the game and hobby place and blow the whole store up. It does not deserve to ever have Seaville in its name above its accursed, sullied, hellfire entrance and doors. Death to Michael Snyder too. That bast among bast ruined and destroyed my life, emotions and being." On the 28th of October 2011, just a few weeks after his father, Bob's death, Chris and Barb launched a vehicular assault on the newly christened Seaville's Hobbies, Games and Toys, owned by Snyder. Chris and Barb both hit the proprietor with their vehicle and injured him. They were arrested near the scene and spent a day in jail. Hey guys, quick heads up. I've noticed a lot of you enjoy my videos but haven't hit the subscribe button yet, so it would be awesome if you could hit the subscribe button. Now, back to the video. 4. Ivy O'Neill. Thankfully, Snyder never made an appearance in Sonichu, but there's one person who did, and marked a significant Nexus event in CWC chronology. Famously known as the Ivy Saga, brought out something even crazier in Chris. Ivy O'Neill was a troll who became Chris's one and only sweetheart. It began with a simple request from Ivy. She wanted to surprise her friends with a video shout-out from Chris.
Ivy is not a troll. She is real, she is true, and she is my sweetheart. We are going to be together in the near future, and we are going to have sex. We're going to lose our virginities to each other. And it's going to be awesome.
Soon after Ivy got that video shout-out, Chris told Ivy that if things didn't work out with his current love quest, Emily, he would consider her for his new sweetheart. Ivy was a redhead, so he was apparently lowering his standards since both redheads and black women had been excluded from his requirements. In 2009, Ivy and Chris started talking. They discussed art, video games, and handwriting, and Chris even shared his sexual fantasies with Ivy. He called this the end of his love quest and told Ivy that he loved her. What followed next was the absurd level of creepiness that even the hardest of trolls were not ready for. Throughout March 2009, Chris was a prolific video blogger. He doubled down on his creepy video messages, leading to his infamous Fanta video. He opened his video message to Ivy by showing a plastic cup filled with his semen, and then he proceeded to pour orange Fanta into it and drank it. He said that he did it for Ivy. You might think that things couldn't get any creepier, but you're mistaken. 5. Barbara Chandler. The next one on the list of his victims was his own mom, Barbara Chandler. Chan, while living with his mother Barbara, came across a cyberbullying group called Idea Guys, who manipulated him into announcing that he was a pedophile, sexually assaulting her mother and convincing him of delusional thoughts. He has been accused of holding her now disabled mother hostage and using her for pity money. But things got way worse very fast. After leaked audio call recordings were sent to authorities, Chris was arrested for freaking incest. He has been allegedly charged with having non-consensual sex with his 80-year-old mother. In 2016, Chan wrote a Facebook post in which he defended a mother-son duo who said that they were in love. Chandler also wrote that he himself has dreams about having sex with his mother. He sent a series of text messages to a stranger named Bella, in which he described in horrifying detail how he was touching her mom, who had dementia. Chris used an encrypted text and video call app called Signal to share this information since he was scared that the government might hack the conversation. In his text messages, he left some seriously disturbing and horrifying details, which I can't say here, or else the video will be deleted by YouTube. Chan denied the allegations, but an arrest was made, and viewers of his content have cited incidents dating back to 2016 where Chan admitted having sex dreams about her mother, referring to Barbara as a guilty pleasure, and strange flirting and cuddling videos. In August 2021, Chris was arrested outside of a Virginia hotel and charged with 1 count of incest and other pending charges. Chandler was initially held in the Henrico County Jail in Virginia after police brought him in. An insider later confirmed that Chandler was moved to Central Virginia Regional Jail. During his hearing at the court, he stomped his feet and defended himself, saying, "I'm famous on the internet." This depicts clearly how social media trolling made him what he is today, a criminal, exploiter, and abuser. Chris didn't only do weird things on the internet, but his insanity and delusion also led him to do heinous acts in real life to real people he was close to. If only these red flags were noticed and revealed all those years ago, maybe things would be different for him, but his story is not over yet. To everyone's shock, Chan was released on March 27, 2021. Chandler's Vine record was updated to show that he was out of custody by the court's order. After his release from jail, he made his comeback on YouTube. It's unclear why he was released, but one thing that continues to trouble the audience online is what will he do next? Will he go back to his creepy abusive videos, his pornographic incest art, or his webcomic series, Sonichu? The burning question, however, is, will Chris Chan ever stop?